Hi, this is Chris Sullivan at Sullivan Brown, Krolikowski and Gordon.
I'm Adam Krolikowski.
Today on The House Detective, we're going to talk about selling your FSBO. In previous episodes, we walked you through the whole process of buying a FSBO, hiring a contractor to fix up the house, finding a tenant, whether you want to just do a traditional lease. Another episode, we talked about lease with an option. And then in the subsequent episode, we talked about selling the house on a contract of sale. We talked about the pros and cons of all of those things. Now we're going to assume that you're going to put the house on the market for sale by owner. Now that you've bought it, fixed it up, you're ready for that process. There's a few things that you need to know to start off putting the house on the market as a FSBO, as we call it. One is, how are you going to establish your price? Most of the time, you're going to establish your price based on comparable sales in the area.
Exactly. What's the market going to bear, and how are you going to evaluate what your specific property is worth when you're trying to sell it in the open marketplace?
A lot of mistakes that junior investors kind of make is that they'll buy a house that's a fixer-upper and they'll over-improve it to the max. They'll turn it into the Taj Mahal, but they can never escape the comparable sales. So all that money you put in to make it the Taj Mahal may be wasted because the neighborhood's not the Taj Mahal. So be mindful of that when you're fixing up your house. And to establish comparable sales, you're going to want to do a few things. One of those things, without hiring an outside source, is to get on the assessor's website and pull up all the parcels in the immediate area. Maybe go through 40 or 50 or 100 to try to get a feel for what the actual sales prices were. You'll also see signs all over the neighborhoods for houses that are for sale. And you want to check those listings through the brokers and see what those prices are. Typically, they'll have flyers on the posts for the sign.
Now, when you're looking at the assessors, you want to take some time and know what you're looking at, because there might be a refinance. You're not always going to have an accurate reflection of what price is if you're not looking at what something actually sold for versus what something may have refinanced for, or if something else is going on that you're not aware of, you may not be looking at accurate data. Also, just looking at listings, take that with a grain of salt, because someone else might be trying to sell a fixer-upper and may be trying to get dollar for dollar what they put into the house back on their sale price. So you have to watch out for that as well.
Yeah, it's a tricky bag when you're doing a FSBO because it's hard to determine what the comparable sales are. Maybe one of the best things you could do is just go spend the $300 or $400 to hire an appraiser who's going to give you a decent valuation, and then you can start from there. Then you know at least you've got some kind of a foundation for your price. Now, once you've established what your price is, you want to start marketing the property. So many of the people that we see that get in trouble with for sale by owners wind up marketing the property in a legal way. There are a whole host of equal protection laws that you could violate even though you don't realize you're doing it. So you've got to be mindful of that. If you can afford to talk to an attorney, talk to an attorney. By all means, you want to call us or call somebody else to make sure that you're not doing that, because that's a big whammy.
The last thing you want to do is have someone try to buy your home. You didn't realize that you were violating a law, and instead of selling your home for a profit, you're selling your home for a lawsuit.
That's right. And we see it happen. Not that frequently, but it does happen. Some people fall into traps that they don't even know are there. So let's say now that you've been able to skirt those hurdles, you've gotten past the marketing, you've figured out where to advertise, how to be fair and present an equal opportunity for everybody. The next thing that you're going to want to know about is disclosures. What do you have to disclose about the property? Now, those disclosures go back to even the previous owners. Whatever the previous owner did to the house that may be a defect or something that's not quite right, you're going to have to disclose that. And you don't want to get caught up in that, because we see lawsuits all the time where they're suing 3, 4, 5 people down the chain of title because a problem wasn't disclosed.
Exactly. If it's something you knew or something you should have known and you didn't disclose it, and the buyer finds out about it, if it is a substantial defect that's going to cost a lot of money to fix, you're going to be the one paying for it if you didn't talk about it or provide some sort of notice of it.
That's right. Oftentimes you're going to find houses that you're going to be able to pick up on the cheap when you're purchasing your for sale by owner that are in master plan subdivisions. Inside of those subdivisions, we're seeing a lot of litigation for construction defect. Those or problems that you need to disclose that every single time. If you're going to be selling a house as a for sale by owner and it's part of a subdivision that is in a construction defect litigation, you need to know that. So you need to go talk to the HOA. Now this is the first part in a two-part series. In the second part, we're going to talk about the rest of the scenarios in selling it, your for sale by owner, and how to avoid those pitfalls. But always remember, an ounce of prevention
prevents a pound of cure. Thanks. We'll see you next week.